My phone rings with Mom's special ringtone, the old country song she used to hum while cooking Sunday dinners. I press the speaker button, balancing my laptop on my knees as I curl deeper into my home office chair. "Calla, sweetheart, are you busy?" Mom's voice bubbles through the speaker, that special cheerfulness she reserves for family announcements. "Just finishing a client proposal." I minimize the spreadsheet where I've been calculating quarterly projections for a healthcare startup. "What's up?" "Well, I wanted to share some exciting news." She pauses for dramatic effect. "Your brother just bought that beautiful Tudor in Oakwood Hills. You know, the one with the stone pathway and those gorgeous maple trees?" My fingers freeze over the keyboard. Finn bought a house in Oakwood Hills? The exclusive neighborhood where homes start at $500,000. The same neighborhood where I lost a bidding war last spring. "Yes, they close next week. Your father and I are just thrilled." I straighten in my chair. "That's unexpected. Last month he was saying the market was too expensive." "Oh, we helped him out a bit." Mom's voice lilts upward. "We gave him $85,000 for the down payment. Nothing makes us happier than seeing our children settled." The room tilts sideways. $85,000. I grip the edge of my desk to steady myself. "Mom, that's incredibly generous." "Well, you know how it is. Finn's starting his life, and that neighborhood is perfect for when they have children." She pauses. "You've always been so independent, sweetie. We figured you didn't need help." The words land like a slap. Independent. The family code word for, we don't have to worry about Calla. My phone buzzes with a text notification. I glance down to see an alert from my bank. "Unusual account activity detected. Attempted access to closed joint account number 4582. The joint account I closed 3 weeks ago. The one I originally opened to help Dad pay his medical bills when he lost his insurance." "Mom, I need to go. Something's come up with work." "Always working. That's our Calla. Will we see you Sunday for brunch?" My mind flashes back to last month's family dinner. Dad raising his glass to Finn's new temporary job at his friend's landscaping company. Finally doing real work with his hands. Meanwhile, my business, the one that paid their property taxes last year, was dismissed as just consulting. "Calla? You there?" "Sorry, Mom, I've got to run." I hang up before she can hear the tremor in my voice. I dial my attorney's number from memory. Morgan Cooper's office. "It's Calla Whitaker. Is she available? It's urgent." 2 minutes later, Morgan's crisp voice comes through. "Calla, what's happened?" "My parents just tried to access our old joint account, the one we closed last month. The attempted access was logged. They can't touch what they don't know exists. They just gave my brother $85,000 for a house down payment." My voice sounds hollow even to my own ears, right before trying to withdraw from my account. A pause. "I see. And what would you like to do about this information?" I open my laptop and create a new spreadsheet. The title forms under my fingertips. Family Karma Audit. In the first row, I type $85,000. Given to Finn for house. $0. Given to Calla. "Calla? Are you still there?" "I'm here." I reach into my desk drawer and remove the silver frame holding last year's Christmas photo, all of us smiling in matching sweaters, my arm around Mom's shoulders. I place it face down in the drawer. I'm just getting started. On Sunday during brunch, the afternoon sun filters through the bay windows as I kneel beside Mom, angling her phone to capture everyone at the patio table. Dad and Finn crowd together with Taylor, their smiles practiced and wide for the camera. "Just one more," I say, pressing the shutter button. A notification slides down the screen, a group text. My finger accidentally taps it before I can stop myself. "Whitaker family chat. No Calla." The breath freezes in my lungs. 3 years of messages from a thread I never knew existed. My eyes dart across the screen, catching fragments as I scroll quickly. "Dad, closing tomorrow on the Oakwood house. Finally beat those California transplants driving up prices." "Finn, that family that outbid us last year moved to Seattle. Karma. The family that outbid them. My bid. On the Tudor with maple trees that I'd fallen in love with last spring. Mom, remember we need to check Calla's joint account before she notices. Graham, can you stop by the bank Tuesday? Finn, Little Miss Independent won't even realize. She's too busy consulting to check her statements. Taylor, you guys are too much. Family takes care of family." My fingers turn to ice. I nearly dropped the phone. Kala? Are you finished? Mom's voice pulls me back. I hand her the phone, muscle memory taking over while my mind spins. Perfect shots, I manage to say, my voice surprisingly steady. I slip back to my place at the table, now hyper-aware of the physical distance. Everyone else sits clustered at one end, shoulders touching, voices overlapping while I occupy what suddenly feels like the children's table at Thanksgiving dinner. Finn leans forward, elbows on the tablecloth. So I was thinking about redoing the roof right away. The inspector said it's got 5 years left, but why wait? We're talking copper accents, architectural shingles. Sounds expensive, Taylor adds, her voice bright with anticipation. 18,000, right? I sip my water, calculations running through my head. That's a significant investment. How are you planning to cover that on your landscaping salary, Finn? The question comes out measured, curious rather than accusatory. The table falls silent. Mom's spine straightens as if pulled by a string. Why are you always so aggressive? She asks, her voice tight with warning. Dad places his fork down with deliberate care. That tone is unladylike, Kala. It's intimidating to men when women talk about money like that. Finn snorts, reaching for another biscuit. Feminist Kala at it again, counting every penny. Some of us prefer to live a little. We're helping with the landscaping, Mom interjects, folding her napkin into smaller and smaller squares. The yard has so much potential with those maple trees. The same maple trees I'd planned to build a reading bench under. Taylor nods enthusiastically. Family takes care of family. Your parents helped with my student loans too. She reaches across to squeeze Mom's hand. I don't know what we'd do without them. My phone vibrates in my pocket. A text from a number I haven't seen in years. Greer Hollis. We need to talk about Florida. Cousin Greer, the black sheep who vanished from family gatherings 5 years ago after a mysterious argument with Dad about Grandma's estate. Before I can respond, another message arrives, this one from Morgan. Discovered forged signatures on timeshare sale. Call me as soon as possible. The dining room door swings open, and Rebecca, my assistant, steps in with practiced confidence. She nods politely to my family before approaching with a manila folder. Sorry to interrupt Sunday brunch, but these required your immediate attention. Her eyes convey a different message. I've got your back. You brought work to family brunch? Mom's voice climbs half an octave. If you keep putting business before family, we'll have to reconsider your invitation to the holiday gathering. Dad's expression darkens. This attitude of yours is damaging our relationship, Kala. Your brother never brings work to family functions. Finn smirks over the rim of his mimosa. Maybe if you weren't so calculating all the time, you'd actually find a husband who could put up with you. I accept the folder from Rebecca with steady hands, feeling strangely detached from their barbs. For the first time, I see the pattern with perfect clarity, how they've used my independence against me, how they've reframed my success as a character flaw. Thank you, Rebecca. I stand, tucking the folder under my arm. I should review these. As I walk toward the guest bathroom, my phone buzzes again. Morgan's message is brief but electric. Documents received. This is worse than we thought. I lock the bathroom door and lean against the cool marble counter, confronting my reflection in the mirror. The woman staring back doesn't look betrayed or broken. She looks clear-eyed, resolute. The question forms in my mind with perfect clarity. Would I continue supporting people who see my independence as an invitation to take more? Or would I finally draw the line they've been crossing for years? The answer comes not in words, but in the straightening of my shoulders and the steel entering my spine. I open Rebecca's folder to find 15 years of family financial records, meticulously organized and highlighted. Attached to the first page is a sticky note in her precise handwriting. You didn't imagine it, it's all here. My phone vibrates at midnight, Finn's name flashing on the screen. I consider letting it go to voicemail, but answer on the third ring. Hey, what's going on? I keep my voice neutral, sliding out of bed and walking to the kitchen. Kala, thank God. Finn's voice carries that particular breathless quality he reserves for financial emergencies. The home inspection found black mold in the attic. I need $18,000 for remediation before we close next week. I fill a glass with water, taking a long sip before answering. That's a significant amount. What did the bank say? Come on, you know they won't extend the loan this late in the process. His voice shifts, softer now. It's just a short-term thing. 60 days, tops. The microwave clock glows 12:17 a.m. I place my glass on the counter with a deliberate click. Have you asked Mom and Dad? A pause. They suggested I call you. Said you're flush with cash from that healthcare contract. Of course they did. I trace a finger along the granite countertop, feeling its cool solidity against my skin. I can't help you, Finn. What do you mean you can't? Or won't? His voice hardens. This is family, Calla. Yes, it is. I end the call and block his number. The morning brings 3 voicemails from Mom, each progressively more wounded. The last one makes my stomach twist. Honestly, Calla, I don't understand why you're being so difficult about helping your brother. Aunt Judy asked about you at Bridge Club yesterday and I hardly knew what to say. Family supports family. That's how we raised you. I delete all 3 without responding and drive to my downtown office. The autumn sky stretches clear blue above the city skyline, mocking my darkening mood. Rebecca meets me at the elevator, coffee in hand and worry in her eyes. Your 10 o'clock canceled, but there's something else. Your parents are in the conference room. I stop mid-stride. What? They showed up 20 minutes ago. Said they needed to speak with you urgently. She lowers her voice. Your Kensington healthcare clients are due in 45 minutes. Perfect timing. I take the coffee, inhaling its bitter strength. Tell them they have 15 minutes. Mom rises when I enter, arms outstretched as if for a hug I have no intention of giving. Dad remains seated, examining the room with the appraising eye of someone mentally calculating square footage costs. Darling, we've been so worried. You haven't returned any calls. Mom's floral perfume fills the air between us. I'm preparing for an important client meeting. I remain standing. What's so urgent? Dad clears his throat. It's about your brother's house. The inspection revealed some issues that need immediate attention. I'm aware. Finn called at midnight. Then you understand the urgency. Mom places her hand on mine. I resist the urge to pull away. We've already done so much for him with the down payment. We thought perhaps you could handle this small repair. Small. $18,000 is small. Number. The single word lands with surprising weight. Mom blinks rapidly. Dad's jaw tightens. Calla Elizabeth, he says, using my full name as he did when I was 10. Your brother needs help. And I needed help last spring when I lost the bidding war on the house he's now buying with your money. My voice remains steady. You told me the market would correct itself and I should be patient. An uncomfortable silence stretches between us, broken by Rebecca knocking gently on the doorframe. Miss Whitaker, your Kensington clients are in the lobby. Thank you, Rebecca. I turn back to my parents. I have work to do. Mom's face crumples. We just need to understand why you're being like this. Like what, Mom? Independent? The word tastes acidic on my tongue. They leave with tight smiles and promises to figure something out. I watch them go, wondering how many times I've capitulated to similar ambushes over the years. 2 hours later, my phone pings with a credit alert. I excuse myself from the client meeting to check the notification. Unusual activity detected on Visa account number 4719. An account I never opened. The afternoon becomes a blur of phone calls and documentation. A credit card in my name with $9,600 in charges at home improvement stores. Family vacation photos on Facebook from a Lake Michigan trip I knew nothing about. A collection agency calling about Finn's truck loan with my forged signature as co-signer. This is a clear pattern, Morgan says when I call her. The attorney's voice carries the professional calm of someone accustomed to family betrayals. How soon can you meet? Tomorrow morning. Bring whatever documentation you have. And Calla, consider changing your locks. I hang up as my office door opens. It's Rebecca, holding a thick manila envelope. Your cousin Greer called while you were on the phone. She asked me to give you this in person, not by mail. Rebecca hesitates. She said it's about your grandparents' Florida property. My fingers tremble slightly as I open the envelope. Inside, a stack of notarized documents show a timeshare sale from 3 years agawith, my signature on the transfer paperwork. A signature I never made. More damning is the second document. A copy of my grandparents' will, highlighting a separate inheritance designated specifically for me. Money I never received. My phone rings. Morgan. I've reviewed the preliminary documentation, she says without preamble. We have a solid paper trail of financial exploitation spanning at least 5 years. This isn't just family taking advantage, Calla. This crosses into criminal territory. I feel something shift inside Minot, the crushing weight of betrayal, but something unexpected. Lightness. While organizing my desk drawer, I find the receipt for the platinum watch I bought Dad last Christmas. $750 I couldn't really afford, but spent anyway, wanting to see his face light up. Attached is a return slip dated the 26th of December. Store credit issued to Graham Whitaker. $750. The next morning, I meet Greer at a coffee shop downtown. My cousin looks both older and more resolved than when I last saw her at Grandma's funeral. They did the same to me, she says without preamble. After I questioned why Uncle Graham was handling Grandma's estate instead of the designated executor, suddenly I wasn't invited to family functions. Mom started telling everyone I was having mental health issues. I wrap my hands around my mug. How much have they taken? From me? About $40,000 in inheritance I can prove. From you? She slides another folder across the table. Based on these records, nearly $300,000 over the past decade. My stomach drops, but my voice remains steady. How did you get these? Aunt Iris left her email logged in on my laptop last Thanksgiving. I've been gathering evidence ever since. She meets my eyes directly. They've been selling off family properties for years, Calla. Properties with our names on the deeds. That afternoon, Morgan calls again. I've spoken with my partners. We'd like to handle your case pro bono. Her voice carries unusual emotion. This is elder abuse in reverse. You're not alone in this situation. Later that day, my mentor Diane suggests a comprehensive documentation strategy for the inevitable family confrontation. Create packets for each person. Everything organized chronologically. No emotion, just facts. Rebecca stays late 3 nights running, helping organize years of financial records into color-coded evidence packets. You know this means war, she says, sealing the last envelope. Number, I shake my head. This means justice. I send a certified letter requesting a family meeting at my home office on Saturday. They try to reschedule 3 times. I remain firm. Finn calls Thursday night, his voice slurred and angry. You need to stop harassing the family, Calla. Mom's blood pressure is through the roof because of your bullshit. I'll see you Saturday at 10, I reply and hang up. After he calls back 6 times, I block his number too. Friday evening, Rebecca helps me prepare the improvised EV conference room at home. As she arranges water glasses and notepads with precision, I reveal the final piece. There's something else they don't know about. I unlock my desk drawer and remove a leather-bound binder labeled Family Karma Audit. Rebecca's eyes widen as I open it, revealing meticulous records dating back 15 years. Bank statements, text messages, emails, photos of checks, loan agreements, never honored. You've been keeping track all along. Yes. I run my finger down the final column of the spreadsheet. $297,842.16. What are you going to do? Rebecca asks. I close the binder with a quiet snap. I'm going to give them exactly 1 chance to make this right. The conference table in my home office gleams under recessed lighting. I've positioned everyone with precision, my parents on the far side, Finn beside them, Greer to my right, and attorney Morgan Cooper at the head of the table. Rebecca stands quietly by the credenza, managing the coffee service with the same efficiency she brings to our client presentations. Thank you all for coming. I open the leather portfolio that contains the records of my family's financial exploitation. I've asked you here to address some concerning patterns I've discovered. Mother fidgets with her pearl bracelet. Really, Calla, this formal setting seems excessive for a family chat. This isn't a chat. I slide the first document across the polished surface. This is a comprehensive accounting of financial support I've provided over the past decade. Father's face pales as the total at the bottom catches his eye. $297,842.63. Attorney Morgan distributes copies to everyone. Miss Whitaker has maintained meticulous records, as you can see. Finn scoffs, pushing the paper away. This is ridiculous. You're keeping score? Family doesn't count pennies. Apparently, my pennies were the only ones being counted. I click the remote. The wall-mounted screen displays security footage from First National Bank. This was taken 3 months ago. That's you, Finn, using my driver's license and social security card to access my accounts. The room falls silent. Taylor shifts uncomfortably in her chair. After everything we've done for you, Mother whispers, her voice cracking with practiced emotion. How can you attack your family this way? Father adopts his puzzled expression, the same one he used when questioned about missing tools from my garage. I don't recall any of these arrangements. My memory isn't what it used to be. Finn stands abruptly, his chair scraping against hardwood. I'm not going to sit here while you attack Mom and Dad. I'll make sure everyone in the family knows how you're treating them. Please do. I press another button on the remote. Finn's voice fills the room. Kala's such a sucker. All you have to do is mention Dad's medical bills and she writes another check. The best part? She's so busy working, she never notices when a little extra disappears. His recorded laughter cuts through the room like broken glass. Finn lunges for the door. Morgan steps in front of it. I suggest you remain seated, Mr. Whitaker. We're just getting started. Greer clears her throat and opens her own folder. I have the documents regarding the Florida timeshare sale. She spreads papers across the table. These signatures were forged. The handwriting analysis confirms it. Mother's mascara begins to run. Father stares at the floor, knuckles white against his armrests. Identity theft carries serious penalties. Morgan explains, her voice steady and professional. Wire fraud, forgery, unauthorized account access, these are criminal offenses with potential jail time. Rebecca serves coffee with quiet efficiency, placing cups in front of each person. Nobody reaches for them. If you discovered your family had stolen your identity and taken nearly $300,000 from you over a decade, I ask, looking each of them in the eye, would you pursue criminal charges, or would you give them one last chance to make it right? The question hangs in the air. Mother's confident facade crumbles first. Her shoulders curl inward as she stares at the spreadsheet. We never meant. You meant exactly this, I interrupt. The text messages planning to access my account before she notices make your intentions clear. Finn jumps up again. This is insane, I'm leaving. Morgan doesn't move from her position by the door. There are 2 police officers in my car outside. One word from Miss Whitaker, and they'll come in with warrants. Father hasn't spoken since the evidence presentation began. He sits motionless, eyes fixed on the table. Mother's crying turns from delicate tears to ugly sobs. You can't do this to your family. You did this, I correct her. My voice remains steady despite the rage burning in my chest. Every time you called me independent while taking advantage of my generosity. Every time you celebrated Finn while dismissing my success. Every time you forged my signature or accessed my accounts without permission. Taylor stands suddenly. I didn't know any of this. She looks at Finn with disgust. You told me Kala approved those loans. Taylor Finn reaches for her arm. She pulls away. Don't touch me. She grabs her purse and moves toward the door. Morgan steps aside to let her pass. The confident family unit that walked into my office an hour ago has disintegrated. Mother cries into a tissue. Father stares silently at the floor. Finn looks frantically between them, waiting for someone to fix this situation like they've fixed everything else in his life. I close my portfolio with a decisive snap. Now, let's discuss how you're going to make this right. Mother dabs at her eyes with a tissue. The perfect shade of coral lipstick remains untouched despite her theatrical display. We just wanted to help Finn start his life, she says, voice wavering with practiced vulnerability. You were already so established with your business. Father leans forward, elbows on the polished conference table in my home office. We always intended to leave you more in the will, to balance things out. His fingers tap a nervous rhythm against the mahogany surface. Finn, slouched in his chair, perks up. What we need is a family healing retreat. Not all this legal nonsense. He gestures dismissively at Attorney Morgan, who sits beside me with perfect posture, her silver pen poised over her legal pad. Mother nods enthusiastically. Your father and I were thinking we could sign over our timeshare in Scottsdale as fair compensation. The association fees are reasonable, and you'd have a vacation spot whenever you want. The same worthless timeshare they couldn't sell last year. The one with a lien against it for unpaid maintenance fees. I maintain eye contact with each of them as I open the leather portfolio Morgan prepared. From it, I withdraw 2 sealed envelopes. I've brought 2 options today. My voice sounds different, lower, steadier than it's ever been in their presence. The first envelope contains a legal agreement for full repayment with interest over 5 years. I place it in the center of the table. The second contains criminal complaints for fraud, forgery, and identity theft, ready to file with the district attorney. The silence feels like ice cracking beneath their feet. I've supported this family for 15 years. I spread the documents before them like playing cards. Today, that ends. Morgan slides forward a thick folder. These bank statements show systematic transfers from Kala's accounts to yours over the past decade. She opens to a highlighted page. Here we have a credit check revealing multiple accounts opened in Kalya's name without her authorization. Finn's face drains of color as Morgan continues. This notarized affidavit from the bank manager details your unauthorized access attempts to MissBrivenix.com. Whitaker's account specifically on the day you gave your son $85,000. Father stares at the ceiling. Mother's hands tremble. And these, Morgan taps a bound stack of papers, are text messages between family members discussing plans to access Kala's funds. Note the timestamps, they predate your gift to Finn by less than 24 hours. I stand, circling the table slowly. The room feels warmer now, my skin electric, with a power I've never allowed myself to claim. Mother, I stop behind her chair. You called me independent when you meant convenient. A reliable ATM who wouldn't ask questions. She flinches but doesn't turn. I move to Father. You taught me family comes first, then used that lesson against me. Every dollar I gave you was proof of my love, but never enough to earn yours. His shoulders hunch forward as if bearing physical weight. I reach Finn last. You forged my signature while calling me for sisterly advice about investments. Remember those late-night calls? You were holding my credit card application in your hand, weren't you? Finn stares at the table, jaw tight. Morgan slides the repayment agreement forward with 2 black pens. This option allows for monthly payments over 60 months. It includes provisions for early repayment without penalty. The grandfather clock in the hallway ticks 13 times before Mother reaches for a pen. Father follows, then Finn. The scratch of pen on paper sounds like victory. Finn reaches into his wallet and extracts 3 credit cards. He places them on the table, face down. These have your name on them, he mumbles. We'll need to list the house, Father says quietly to Mother. The equestrian membership, too. Morgan catches my eye, a slight nod confirming this wasn't part of our strategy. They've arrived at this conclusion themselves. Greer, who has been silent throughout, speaks for the first time. And the Florida property? The one grandmother left to Kala and me? Mother's head snaps up. How did you? Public records, Greer answers calmly. The sale closed 3 years ago. Father signs the final page with a defeated flourish. We'll figure something out. An hour later, the house is empty except for Rebecca, who silently collects coffee cups and straightens chairs. They signed, I tell her, still not quite believing it myself. Of course they did. She squeezes my shoulder. They finally saw you. That evening, I returned from dinner with Morgan to find a blinking light on my answering machine. One new message. I press play, bracing myself for threats or manipulation. Mother's voice fills the room, strangely subdued. Kala, we need to talk about the house. I freeze, finger hovering over the delete button. Your house, she continues. The one in Oakwood Hills you lost in the bidding war. The buyers backed out yesterday. It's yours if you still want it. The message ends. The machine beeps, awaiting my command. I sit in the gathering darkness, weighing 15 years of history against one unexpected olive branch. The delete button glows red in the dimness. A month later, the real estate agent slides the papers across the weathered oak table. Just your signature, here and here, miss. Whitaker. She taps her manicured nail against the flagged lines, her coral lipstick matching the folders spread between us. I sign my name with the fountain pen my mentor Diane gave me when I landed my first major client. The ink flows smooth and permanent across the page. Congratulations. The agent beams, collecting the documents with practiced efficiency. You know, we had a higher offer from a lovely family with 3 children. But the seller appreciated your all-cash offer. No financing contingencies, no inspection delays. No strings, I add, running my fingertips across the grain of the table. Exactly. She hands me a set of keys attached to a handcrafted leather fob. This one's paid in full. No mortgages, no loans, no strings. The keys feel substantial in my palm, solid brass that catches the light streaming through the cabin windows. Through the glass, I can see the lake shimmering under the afternoon sun, ripples catching the light like thousands of tiny mirrors. I stand alone in my new space after the agent leaves, breathing in the scent of cedar and pine. The silence wraps around me like a favorite blanket knot, the suffocating quiet of family dinners after I asked uncomfortable questions, but the peaceful stillness of belonging only to myself. My phone chimes with a text from Morgan. Still coming at 4 for the official tour? I smile and type back, champagne's already chilling. The mail carrier arrives as I'm arranging cheese and fruit on a serving board. I recognize the cream-colored envelope immediately, the same type my parents used for my college graduation card. The one that contained congratulations but no check, unlike the generous gifts my brother received for much lesser accomplishments. This envelope feels different, heavier. Inside, I find a check for $3,500 and a handwritten note on my mother's monogrammed stationery. We're sorry. 2 words. No excuses, no justifications, no attempts to explain away years of financial exploitation. Just the first installment of repayment and an acknowledgement I never expected to receive. I place the check in a folder labeled Restitution Payments and continue preparing for my guests. Rebecca arrives first, carrying potted herbs for my kitchen windowsill. Greer follows with a hand-woven blanket in sunset colors. Morgan brings a bottle of expensive scotch and news that makes me pause while pouring water for the fresh flowers. Finn's house is listed as a short sale, she says, accepting the glass of champagne I offer. Your parents sold their Cadillac and that boat your father was so proud of. They're moving into a senior apartment complex next month. I nod, feeling neither vindication nor sorrow. And the timeshare proceeds? Greer received her first payment yesterday. Morgan raises her glass toward my cousin. Everything proceeding exactly as legally agreed. We gather around the fireplace as evening approaches, the 4 of us forming a circle of hard-won trust. On the stone mantel above us sits a simple frame containing a printout of my final family karma audit spreadsheet, the words "account settled" written in bold across the bottom. To chosen family, Rebecca says, raising her glass. To independence, Greer adds. To boundaries with consequences, Morgan offers with professional satisfaction. I look around at these women who stood beside me when blood relations failed. To freedom. Later, after they've gone, I sit on the dock with my feet dangling above the water. The lake stretches before me, vast and uncomplicated. My phone buzzes in my pocket, Mom, appearing on the screen with that old country song ringtone I never changed. I silence it without answering and watch the sun sink lower, painting the water in warm gold. The weight that lived between my shoulder blades for years has finally dissolved. Independence isn't what made me unworthy of their help. Independence is what finally set me free. If your family uses your strength as a reason to withhold support while draining your resources, would you have the courage to show them exactly how independent you can be? What would your family karma audit reveal if you started keeping track today? Share your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. Mother's crystal chandelier casts prisms across the dining room as I step through the threshold. My fingers tighten around the bottle of Cabernet I've brought Dad's favorite vintage. The air feels charged, like the moment before a thunderstorm breaks. Madison sits at the table already, twirling her wine glass between manicured fingers that match her crimson blouse Valentino, if I'm not mistaken. The price tag would exceed her monthly income at the art gallery where she works sporadically. Her smile tightens when she sees me, revealing perfect teeth and nothing of warmth. Lauren, finally. Mother bustles in from the kitchen, wiping her hands on her apron though the during service left hours ago. She's arranging the good china set reserved for holidays and announcements. Her eyes dart between Madison and me, a nervous energy radiating from her that makes my stomach clench. Put the wine there. We'll open it with dinner. I place the bottle on the sideboard and glance at the family photos lining the wall. Dad's smile beams from each frame, frozen in time. 10 years gone, but the space he left still echoes through this house. He's the only one missing tonight. So how's the wedding planning coming along? Madison asks as Mother pours water into crystal glasses that sing when touched. The invitation to Brian sits at the center of the table, cream-colored and elegant in its simplicity. We've settled on the venue. Nothing extravagant, just meaningful. I smooth my napkin across my lap. Brian's designing some elements himself. Madison nods without interest. Mother serves poached salmon with mechanical precision. Her movements rehearsed as if this dinner follows a script I haven't seen. 20 minutes of meaningless conversation follows Madison's gallery opening. Mother's Garden Club, the neighbor's new fence that violates the Homeowners Association bylaws. Then Madison sets down her fork with deliberate care. I have some exciting news, she announces, her voice lilting upward. She glances at Mother, who suddenly becomes very interested in her water glass. I've found the perfect condo. Harbor views, private elevator access, concierge service. It's absolutely everything I've dreamed of. Madison leans forward, her eyes gleaming. $500,000, which is practically a steal for the neighborhood. The salmon turns to ash in my mouth. I take a sip of water, waiting for the punchline. Mother clears her throat. I've looked at my accounts and I can contribute what I can. Her voice has the wooden quality of memorized lines. About 200,000. Madison beams at her before turning to me, head tilted just so. And you'll cover the rest, right, Lauren? After all, what's family for? The world stills around me. $300,000 for a luxury condo with harbor views. My mind flashes to Derek's hospital room 6 months ago. The sickening angle of his leg after the construction accident. His face, gray with pain beneath the fluorescent lights. The weeks I spent organizing home health care, negotiating with insurance companies, writing personal checks to cover what insurance wouldn't. His quiet, thank you, as I helped without being asked. Because that's what family does when someone genuinely needs help. I'm sorry, I say, setting down my napkin. That's not possible. The transformation in Madison's face is instantaneous, her smile dropping like a theater curtain to reveal what lies beneath. Rage flashes in her eyes. What do you mean? Not possible. You're the CFO of a major investment firm. You helped Derek without even hesitating. That was different. My voice remains measured through practiced discipline. Derek needed medical care. This is just like you. Madison's voice rises sharply. You've always been jealous of me. Mother's hand shoots out to cover Madison's. Lauren, I don't understand. You helped your brother when he needed it. Why wouldn't you do the same for your sister? The question hangs in the air like a slap. She genuinely sees no difference between life-saving medical care and a luxury condo with concierge service. Because one was a necessity and one is a luxury, I explain, though I know it's futile. I'm sorry, but I can't. If you don't help your sister, Mother says, her voice hardening, you're not the daughter I raised. The ultimatum lands with devastating clarity. I look at the wedding invitation on the table, suddenly understanding its prominent placement. A bargaining chip. My stomach turns cold. Madison's voice rises. You've always been jealous of me. Always. I stand slowly, gathering my purse with hands that refuse to tremble despite the earthquake inside me. Dad's watch weighs heavy on my wrist as I straighten my shoulders. Then perhaps, I say quietly, you raised a different daughter than you thought. The front door slams with such force that the china cabinet rattles, crystal glasses tinkling in anxious melody. Madison's departure leaves a vacuum of sound broken only by Mother's hurried footsteps pursuing her onto the porch. Lauren, please reconsider. Mother's voice carries through the window, more concerned with Madison's tears than my still and silent presence at the abandoned dinner table. Their voices fade as I remain alone among half-eaten salmon and cooling potatoes. My gaze drifts to Father's portrait above the sideboard. His eyes seem to follow me, questioning or perhaps guiding. I rise from my chair and move toward his study, drawn by an instinct I can't name. The leather chair behind his mahogany desk still holds the impression of his body 10 years later. Mother keeps this room like a shrine, untouched but immaculately dusted. I trail my fingers along the spines of leather-bound ledgers until I reach the one marked with our company logo, Sentinel Investments. Father's portfolio sits heavy in my hands as I open it, the familiar scent of leather and his pipe tobacco somehow preserved within its pages. Something slips from between the sheets, a document I've never seen before. My heart stops when I read the heading. Transfer of Voting Rights, Sentinel Investments. Madison's name appears throughout the legal text, alongside terms like controlling interest and board authority. The signature line remains blank, waiting for Mother's authorization. My stomach turns to ice as understanding Dawn's the condo demand was merely a prelude. With trembling fingers, I reach for my phone and dial Uncle David's number. He answers on the first ring, as if he's been waiting for this call. Lauren, is everything all right? Uncle David, I'm in Dad's study. My voice sounds distant, even to my own ears. I found something transfer paperwork for Sentinel. Madison's name is all over it. The silence stretches before he sighs heavily. Your mother wants to transfer controlling shares to Madison. She's been pushing for it since last Christmas. But that would. Yes, it would undo everything Richard built. His voice tightens with controlled emotion. Madison has no business experience, Lauren. Not a day of it. But she wants full authority. I sink into Father's chair, the leather creaking beneath me. Does Derek know? Not yet. I thought your father's wishes were clear in his will. My fingers brush across the smooth wood of the desk where Father taught me about profit margins and ethical investing on those quiet Saturday mornings while Madison slept off Friday night excesses. In the bottom drawer, I find the letter I've read 100 times since his death. I unfold it carefully, the paper thinning at the creases. To my successor, it begins in his precise handwriting. Only David understands what I've built here, a company that serves its clients with integrity first, profit second. Guard this principle with your life. The realization settles over me like a heavy mantle. Madison's luxury condo demand wasn't just about entitlement. It was a test to see how easily I would surrender my resources. Had I agreed, the company would have been next. I take a deep breath and stand, suddenly certain of what I must do. I'll be at my apartment in 30 minutes. Can you meet me there? Derek's arrival comes announced by the distinctive tap of his crutches against the hardwood floor of my apartment. His leg has healed enough for walking, but stairs still challenge him. His face, so like Father's, tightens when he sees the portfolio spread across my coffee table. So it's true, he says, lowering himself carefully onto my sofa. Madison wants the company. Not just wants sex specs. I hand him the transfer documents. And Mother supports her. He skims the pages, his expression darkening. This would destroy everything Dad built. A knock at the door announces Uncle David, silver-haired and straight-backed, despite his 70 years. He carries a leather briefcase that holds more Sentinel documents, these showing Madison's plans drawn up by consultants who specialize in liquidity events. Asset stripping. Company dismantling. She'd sell it off in pieces, Uncle David explains, pointing to highlighted sections. The real estate alone would fund her lifestyle for decades. The three of us sit in the gathering darkness, our faces illuminated by the soft lamplight. Three people who loved Richard Blake enough to protect what he valued, not just what he owned. What now? Derek asks, rubbing his healing leg. My phone buzzes with Brian's call. I answer, explaining in quiet tones what must be done. His support comes without hesitation, the reassurance of someone who shares my values without sharing my blood. After we disconnect, I move to the bookshelf where family photos stand in silver frames. I select only those containing Father teaching me to fish, attending my business school graduation, Derek's first journalism award. The ones with Mother and Madison remain behind as I place the chosen frames in a small box. On my desk, wedding invitation drafts await final approval. With steady hands, I cross out Madison's name, then after a moment's hesitation, Mother's as well. Sometimes family isn't who shares your blood, I say to Derek and Uncle David as they watch me, but who shares your values. Their silent nods seal our alliance. Father's legacy will not fall to those who never understood it. The leather notebook weighs heavy in my hands as Derek and I wait in the driveway of our childhood home. 10 years of memories fled back Saturday mornings when Dad would nudge me awake at dawn, his voice a gentle conspirator's whisper. Ready to learn the family business, Lori? I'd slip downstairs in pajamas, in Dad's old cardigan, curling into the leather chair across from his desk, while Madison slept upstairs until noon. The scent of his coffee and the scratch of his pen as he opened the company ledgers, these were the rhythms of my childhood. You okay? Derek asks, adjusting his weight on his crutches. The scar from his surgery peeks beneath his pant leg when he moves. I'm not the one who should be standing. I nod toward his leg. Some things are worth standing for. His jaw tightens as he looks toward the house. Dad would be standing right here with us. The front door opens before we reach it. Mother appears in the doorway, her posture rigid as church pews. Beyond her, Madison's theatrical sobs echo from the living room. They're trying to ruin everything. I've already made my decision about the shares. Mother's voice could freeze water. She doesn't invite us in, but Derek pushes forward anyway, his crutches thumping against the hardwood floors of the entryway. The familiar scent of lemon furniture polish and Mother's perfume mingles with something sore, the smell of old resentments disturbed. Family photos line the hallway, chronological markers of a family that once appeared whole. In most, Madison stands front and center, Mother's hand on her shoulder, while Dad stands beside me, his pride obvious, even in 2 dimensions. Madison sits on the sofa, shoulders heaving beneath her designer blouse. Her mascara remains perfect despite her tears of practice performance. When she sees the notebook in my hands, her crying stops abruptly. What's that? Dad's succession plan. I place the worn leather book on the coffee table, in his handwriting. That old thing? Madison scoffs, but her eyes never leave the notebook. I flip to the page marked with Dad's brass bookmark, the one engraved with his initials and the company logo. The pages crackled the sound of secrets finally exposed to air. For the future CEO, I read, Dad's handwriting becoming steadier as I continue. Lauren has shown the judgment, discipline, and integrity necessary to lead Sentinel. Madison's creative talents lie elsewhere, and forcing her into business would do her a disservice. Mother's face pales. Richard never discussed this with me. He tried. Derek's voice is quiet but carries the weight of certainty. Many times. You didn't want to hear it. I turn another page. Cheryl will resist this plan, as she has always believed Madison needs more support. But a company isn't charity, it's a responsibility. Lauren has earned this through merit, not birthright. The doorbell rings, startling us all. Uncle David's silhouette appears through the frosted glass, broad-shouldered and solid as the foundation of a well-built home. Mother opens the door with obvious reluctance. Uncle David steps inside, nodding to us before placing his leather briefcase on the dining room table. I have the legal documents. What legal documents? Madison stands, her performance abandoned for genuine alarm. Richard's formal succession plan. Uncle David slides papers from his briefcase with the calm precision of someone who knows exactly what they contain. Filed with the company attorney 5 years before his death, updated 6 months before his diagnosis. This is ridiculous. Madison's voice rises to a pitch that would shatter crystal. Mother owns controlling shares now. She owns them in trust. Uncle David corrects, with specific conditions regarding their transfer. The front door opens again. Brian steps inside without knocking, his eyes finding mine immediately. He doesn't speak, just moves to stand behind me, his hand a warm presence on my shoulder. You brought your fiancé to gang up on us? Madison sneers. I texted him where we'd be. He made his own choice. I straighten my shoulders, drawing strength from the silent support surrounding me. Derek beside me despite his pain. Uncle David with his unflinching adherence to Dad's wishes. Brian, steady and principled. Mother sinks into her chair, her fingers trembling slightly as she reaches for the documents. I don't understand. Richard always said the girls would share equally. The estate, yes. Uncle David's voice gentles. But the business leadership? Never. I deserve that money. Madison's mask slips completely, revealing the naked greed beneath. What am I supposed to do? Work regular jobs forever while Lauren gets everything? You get shares, I explain, keeping my voice level. Just not voting rights. Dad knew exactly what he was doing. We could compromise, Uncle David suggests. Madison receives her inheritance as non-voting shares. She benefits financially without affecting company decisions. That's not fair. Madison's foot actually stamps against the carpet, a childhood gesture that looks absurd from a woman approaching 30. Mother's eyes scan the documents, her expression shifting like shadows at sunset. I recognize the moment the facade cracks, her shoulders drop an inch. Her breathing changes. She's reading Dad's actual wishes, in his own words, witnessed and notarized. Richard was very clear. She looks up, and for the first time in years, she seems to actually see me. He wanted Lauren to lead. Mother, Madison's betrayal is a living thing, expanding to fill the room. I made a promise to him. My voice gained strength with each word. On his deathbed, I promised to protect his legacy. This company employs 200 people. Their livelihoods depend on experienced leadership. Your sister has needs too, Mother argues. But the argument sounds hollow, even to her own ears. Madison needs to stand on her own feet, Derek says. Dad knew that. He just couldn't get you to see it. The afternoon light slants through the windows, casting prisms across Dad's notebook. I think of all those Saturday mornings, his patient explanations of profit margins and ethical business practices. The pride in his eyes when I asked the right questions. The leather notebook he presented on my 21st birthday, inscribed, "For the future CEO." I run my fingers across his handwriting, feeling the indentations his pen left on the page. Some promises transcend even the ties of blood. Some legacies are worth fighting for, even when the cost is peace. What would Dad want? I asked quietly, meeting Mother's eyes. Really want? In the silence that follows, I can almost hear his answer. Dad's framed business philosophy sits on my desk. Integrity cannot be bought, but its absence will cost everything. Morning light streams through the floor to see windows of what was once his office, now mine. The leather chair cradles me as I review quarterly projections that exceed expectations. Dad would have been proud not just of the numbers, but of how we achieved them. I trace my fingers over the photo beside my computer, Dad, with his arm around my shoulders on my first day of business school, his eyes crinkling with pride. You'll outdo me someday, Lauren, he had said. Not competition, but continuation. My wedding invitation list sits beside it, conspicuously missing 2 names. The absence creates more peace than pain now. Brian understood immediately, his hand squeezing mine when I explained. Family is earned, he'd said simply. The intercom buzzes. Miss Blake, your mother is calling, again. Send it to voicemail, please, Donna. The 4th call this week. I've already listened to the previous messages. Lauren, you're tearing this family apart. Your father would be ashamed of how you're treating your sister. If you don't return this call, I'll assume you've made your choice. Each voicemail more desperate than the last. A calculated escalation strategy recognized from years of watching Madison get her way. My phone vibrates with a text from Derek. Heads up. Madison just stormed into the lobby. Before I can respond, Donna's voice comes through again. Tension evident. Miss Blake, your sister is demanding to see you. Security is asking how to proceed. I straighten in my chair, Dad's watch heavy on my wrist. Tell them to escort her out, politely but firmly. 10 minutes later, my phone explodes with notifications. Madison has tagged me in a social media post. A tearful selfie captioned, "When your own sister uses your father's company to destroy your family. Toxic siblings. Family betrayal." I don't click. I don't engage. Instead, I open my email and compose the message I've been drafting in my mind for days. Dear Mother, I hope this finds you well. After careful consideration, I believe we need clear boundaries moving forward. I remain committed to honoring Dad's legacy through proper stewardship of the business he built. This is non-negotiable. I cannot and will not fund Madison's lifestyle choices. This is also non-negotiable. I would welcome a relationship with you independent of these issues, should you choose to respect these boundaries. With love, Lauren. I press send, then turn to the wedding announcement I've drafted for the local paper. The tribute to Dad feels right. The bride will honor her late father, Richard Blake, founder of Sentinel Investments, with an empty chair at the ceremony. Miss Blake instilled in his daughter the values of integrity, responsibility, and purposeful living that guide her today. The intercom buzzes again. Derek's here to see you. My brother limps in, still using a cane occasionally. His recovery continues, slow but steady, much like our relationship. rebuilt in adulthood after years of Madison wedging herself between us. Uncle David called, he says, settling carefully into the chair across from me. Mom tried to sway him about the shares again. Apparently she cried. Did it work? I ask, already knowing the answer. Derek smiles. He told her that tears don't change legal documents or sound business practices. I nod, turning to my computer to complete the quarterly transfer to the medical fund I established for accident victims like Dereka, more meaningful use of my money than Madison's harbor views. My phone rings. Uncle David. The quarterly numbers are impressive, he says without preamble. The board is noticing. That's good to hear. Your mother called again. She sounded different this time. I raise an eyebrow. Different how? Like someone starting to question their own judgment, he says carefully. Madison's been asking her for more money. I think reality is setting in. The words barely have time to register before my personal line rings. Mother's number appears on the screen. I should take this, I tell Uncle David. I'll call you back. I answer, bracing myself for the usual manipulation. Instead, her voice comes through quiet, almost unfamiliar without its edge of accusation. Lauren, I think I've made some mistakes. I sit straighter, my free hand finding Dad's watch. I'm listening. I'd like to attend your wedding, she says, if you'll still have me. The request hangs between us, fragile as crystal. Before I can respond, I hear Madison's voice in the background, sharp and demanding. Mother's tone changes instantly, hardening again. But you need to understand that, Madison. No, I interrupt, my voice calm but firm. That's not how this works. My boundaries aren't negotiable. After we hang up, Derek looks at me questioningly. She's wavering, I explain, but she's not there yet. Will you let her come to the wedding, he asks. I look at Dad's photo, at his clear-eyed certainty that doing the right thing matters more than doing the easy thing. I don't know, I answer honestly. What do you think? Is a partial apology after decades of enabling worth accepting? Derek considers this, leaning on his cane. I think that depends on what boundaries you're willing to maintain. I nod, feeling the weight and the freedom of finally standing firm. The coffee shop bustles with midday activity, the clink of ceramic mugs, the hiss of the espresso machine, the gentle hum of conversations. I chose this place deliberately. Public enough to prevent emotional manipulation, casual enough to level the playing field. No mother's crystal chandelier to cast prisms of guilt across the table. Are you sure you want to be here? I ask Derek, who settles into the chair beside me, his healing leg extended carefully under the table. Wild horses, Lauren. His eyes, so like Dad's, hold steady. Wild horses. The bell above the door chimes. Mother enters, scanning the room before spotting us. She looks smaller somehow, her shoulders less squared, her designer handbag clutched like a shield rather than an accessory. The power shift is visible no longer on her territory with her rules. Thank you for meeting me, she says as she sits, smoothing her silk scarf with trembling fingers. The cafe lighting reveals fine lines around her eyes that makeup can't quite conceal. I've been doing a lot of thinking. So have we, Derek says, his voice gentle but firm. Mother's rehearsed smile appears, the one she uses at garden club functions when discussing charitable donations. Family unity has always been important to your father. Richard believed in keeping the Blake name strong, keeping us together through anything. I take a slow sip of my coffee, letting the bitterness ground me. That's interesting, because Dad's journals tell a different story about what he valued most. Her fingers tighten around her untouched cup. Lauren, your sister is struggling. She's been unable to find suitable employment and my resources. Her voice trails off before she straightens her spine. What I mean is, your father would have wanted us to support each other. Mother, I say quietly, your retirement savings are nearly depleted, aren't they? The question lands like a stone in still water. Her eyes widen slightly before darting away. Madison refuses to look for work, I continue, because she's never had to face consequences. This pattern has been in place since we were children. That's not fair. When I was 12, I press on, keeping my voice measured. I saved my allowance for 6 months to buy that telescope I wanted. Madison broke it after using it without permission, and you replaced it using my college fund money. You told me sharing was more important than my feelings. Derek shifts beside me. When I was 16 and made the varsity swim team, you missed every meet because Madison's dance recitals took priority, even when they weren't scheduled at the same time. Mother's lips part in protest, but I open the leather portfolio on the table, Dad's portfolio, the one that still smells faintly of his aftershave. I've brought something I think you should see. I slide a folder across the table. These are Dad's detailed wishes for the company. Not just the legal documents, but his personal notes about his vision for its future. Her hands remain folded in her lap. Lauren, business matters aren't relevant to family relationships. They are when Madison's intentions toward the company are part of the problem. I tap the folder. Dad built that business on integrity and competence, not entitlement. Mother's eyes flash. What exactly are you implying about your sister? I'm stating facts, I reply. Madison has maxed out 3 credit cards in your name. She's borrowed against your home equity, and she's attempted to leverage company shares she doesn't control. The color drains from Mother's face. For the first time, I see a crack in her armor that isn't immediately patched with Madison's defense. I want to be clear about something, I say, my voice softening. I'm not here to punish you or Madison. I'm here to establish boundaries that should have existed long ago. Derek leans forward, his physical presence a quiet support. We both are. I pull an envelope from my bag, cream-colored, embossed with silver leaf. I have terms for any future relationship between us. First, family therapy. Real therapy, not the kind where Madison charms the therapist into taking her side. Mother's fingers twist her wedding ring, a nervous habit she's had since Dad died. Second, the family business remains protected according to Dad's wishes. This is non-negotiable. I slide the envelope across the table. Third, this wedding invitation is for you alone, not Madison. My marriage to Brian won't begin with manipulation or drama. Mother's hand trembles as she touches the envelope without opening it. Finally, I'm offering financial counseling resources instead of endless financial support. For both of you. The cafe continues its rhythmic bustling around us, but our table sits in a bubble of tense silence. When Mother finally looks up, tears track down her cheeks, genuine tears, not the performance tears I've seen so often when she didn't get her way. I don't know how to stop enabling her, she whispers, the confession raw and unvarnished. I've been doing it so long, I don't know another way to be her mother. Derek reaches across the table, covering her hand with his. That's why we're suggesting therapy, Mom, for all of us. I maintain my position, compassionate but unwavering. Madison needs to face reality, and you need to let her. Mother dabs at her eyes with a cafe napkin, her usual monogrammed handkerchief notably absent. When did you become so strong, she asks, looking between Derek and me. We had a good teacher, Derek says. Dad never confused love with enabling. Something shifts in Mother's expression, a realization dawning like the slow lightning of a horizon. She looks at me with new eyes, seeing not the daughter she thought she raised, but the one she actually did. I've damaged so much, she says, her voice barely audible above the espresso machine's hiss. With both of you, with all of us. The admission hangs in the air between us, not a complete transformation, but perhaps the first truthful moment we've shared in years. White roses line the garden path as I walk toward the small gazebo, my hand tucked into Brian's steady arm. Morning light filters through ancient oaks, casting dappled shadows across the 50 chairs only half filled, but by people who truly matter. The string quartet begins Pachelbel's canon, and tears prick my eyes despite my resolve to remain composed. You ready? Brian whispers, his fingers covering mine. I nod, unable to speak as we take our positions beneath garlands of ivy and baby's breath. My gaze falls on the empty chair in the front row, adorned with Dad's photograph and his leather-bound notebook tied with a simple white ribbon. He's here in every way that matters. In the back row sits Mother, her posture stiff but present, wearing a lavender dress that makes her look older. more fragile. Our eyes meet briefly, hers uncertain, mine accepting. This is progress, though the journey has only just begun. The seat beside her remains conspicuously empty, Madison's absence a necessary boundary that still aches beneath my ribs. After the ceremony, I find Mother standing alone near the refreshment table, turning her champagne flute without drinking. It was a beautiful ceremony, Lauren. Her voice wavers. Your father would have been proud. Thank you for coming, I say, meaning it despite everything. It matters that you're here. 3 months later, I sit across from Mother in the beige office of Dr. Winters, family therapist. Outside, autumn leaves scatter across the parking lot, while inside, Mother's hands tremble as she speaks. I didn't see it, she admits, voice barely audible. All those years, I thought I was helping Madison by giving her what she wanted. Instead, I was. She struggles with the word. Enabling, Dr. Winters supplies gently. Mother nods, a tear slipping down her cheek. I enabled her to become someone Richard would have been ashamed of. That evening, I walk Mother through Dad's old office, my office now. The company reports show quarterly growth exceeding projections by 17%. Uncle David's strategic investments bringing in new clients across 3 states. He built something extraordinary. Mother whispers, running her fingers along the mahogany desk where I've placed his framed photo. And it will continue to thrive, I assure her, exactly as he intended. Derek arrives for Christmas dinner without crutches, moving with only the slightest limp as he carries in a bottle of Dad's favorite Cabernet. His news site has just won regional recognition for investigative reporting on corporate ethics, a path he found during his recovery. The pride in his eyes when he shares this makes my chest tighten with emotion. Mother has learned to say no to Madison, though it nearly broke her to do it. They share a modest 2-bedroom condo, now purchased within their actual means, where Madison still rages against perceived injustices while Mother works through her guilt in weekly therapy sessions. Tonight, Uncle David raises his glass around my dining table. The empty chair acknowledges Madison's choice to remain estranged rather than accept help that requires accountability. Some wounds may never fully heal. To family, Uncle David says, his voice gruff with emotion, the one we've built through choice rather than obligation. Mother reaches across the table, her hand covering mine. Lauren, I was wrong. For years, I was wrong about so many things. The favoritism. Her voice catches. Can you ever forgive me? I cover her hand with mine, not rushing to answer. Some words deserve careful consideration. We're finding our way, I finally say. That's enough for now. Later, in Dad's old office at home, I open his leather notebook, now filled with my own notes alongside his wisdom. My wedding ring catches the light as I add tonight's insights. On my desk sits a new photograph: Derek, Uncle David, a humbled mother, and me alongside Dad's portrait. Some family portraits change over time. Some chairs remain empty by necessity rather than tragedy. I close the notebook with a sense of peace that has been years in the making. Some family ties need to break so that others can grow stronger.